A referendum on whether Alberta should separate from Canada is one step closer today. The province's election agency has approved a citizen-led petition to gather signatures on the issue. Now, a potential referendum would seek a yes or no answer to the question, do you agree that the province of Alberta should cease to be a part of Canada to become an independent state? The Alberta Prosperity Project, the group behind that petition, now has 4 months to sign up 178,000 supporters and appoint a financial officer. So now the group applied earlier this year to have a similar referendum question heard, but the question was struck down as unconstitutional by a provincial judge. Since then, Premier Danielle Smith's government has changed the rules for citizen-initiated referendums. What are the next steps for this petition, and what message does this development send to the rest of Canada? For more on all that, we want to bring in Laurie Williams. She's a political analyst and political science professor at Mount Royal University. She joins us from Calgary. Thanks for being here, Laurie.
Great to be with you, Arti.
Okay, so Elections Alberta has approved this petition aimed at putting a referendum question forward to Albertans about this idea of separating from Canada. Just how significant is it that this has been approved under the new rules that are in place, and the fact that the question is being put out there? How significant is that?
Well, it is significant in that it guarantees that there will be a very hot debate about this over the next little while. We don't know what the government will decide to do with this. We don't know whether the signatures will be acquired. We do know that probably somewhere in the mid 20% of Albertans do support more independence from Canada. Whether that means outright separation or not is a separate question. But we've also got this other petition that Thomas Lukaszuk, a former deputy premier, has put forward, and that says, do you agree that Alberta should remain within Canada? So it's going to be up to the government whether both of these are put to a vote by Albertans. We've got 22 recall campaigns, and another three, I think, were applied for just yesterday. And so now we have the potential of a number of recall campaigns, these referenda, another referendum question potentially on immigration or on mining if another one is approved. All of these are going to be swirling through Alberta politics over the next little while. And it might actually lead into an election as well.
Now, Laurie, you mentioned that there is potentially support for Alberta separating within the province itself, that it is something that is being debated and there is a lot of discussion surrounding that. So in the event that 178,000 signatures are collected to put this to a referendum, where do things go from there?
Well, that's up to the provincial government. As I said, they can decide to have a referendum vote where a number of questions are heard, including the ones saying that we should remain within Canada. All of that's up in the air. The one to remain in Canada could just go to the legislature for a vote. In this climate, I'm not sure that the government is going to do that. I suspect that they'll want to have perhaps both of these questions going forward at the same time, in spite of the fact they earlier had legislation saying that two referenda on the same question couldn't happen. And there will be a lot of debating happening in Alberta, and I think a lot of uncertainty. It could affect investment. Many business leaders are very concerned about this. Many Albertans are very concerned about this because it does represent a minority of Albertans in poll after poll, but it represents a significant proportion of members of the United Conservative Party, as we saw in their recent AGM. This was something they wanted to put on the agenda unsuccessfully and were quite angry about.
Now, Laurie, in the past few weeks, we have seen the Prime Minister and Alberta's Premier come out and have a very strong relationship together, speak very positively about one another and the priorities of Ottawa and Alberta. And that, of course, was surrounding that MOU and that energy deal that was signed as well. Has that had any impact on the sentiments within the province and whether or not it should remain a part of Canada?
I think there's no question it has had a positive effect, particularly in the business community. I mean, you contrast the Chamber of Commerce meeting that the Premier and the Prime Minister were in just the day before the UCP annual general meeting. Mark Carney got standing ovations, plural, in that meeting. So I think economically, there are a lot of people that are pleased with this deal. Certainly, they're looking for additional measures and perhaps investments in Alberta incentivized by the federal government. But they and many just ordinary Albertans are very much in favor of Alberta remaining in Canada, but they do see that Alberta has had what they see as an unfair treatment historically, and they'd like to see something better on that count. The folks that booed Danielle Smith at the annual general meeting didn't like the memorandum of agreement of understanding, and so there is a division amongst Albertans. And here, as I think we've seen in other places, there's a great danger that there will be deep divisions and polarization that happen within Alberta as this is debated.
Well, we will continue to watch how this develops into the new year. Thank you so much for your time today, Laurie.
Thank you, Arti.
Laurie Williams is a political analyst and a political science professor at Mount Royal University. We reached her today in Calgary. Thanks.